Hi everyone, welcome back to the lecture series by Professor Anuradha Jain. Today we are going to discuss topic on balance of payment. Balance of payment is very important topic in international economics, and it's very much relevant to the economy also because it gives the condition and the status of the economy in the world economy. Because balance of payment is nothing but the systematic record of all the transactions of the country with the rest of the world. Just like any company which prepares the balance sheet to know the assets and liabilities of the company, similarly balance of payment is prepared to just to see that what are the credits and debits of the company in terms of international transactions. So balance of payment also decides the foreign reserves of the country. Now if we recall that balance of payment deficit that we faced in 1991, and it was a very critical situation, and this was also one of the reason for coming up of the new economic policy of the country. So balance of payment, whether it is a deficit or a surplus, that affects the economy as a whole. And in India we can see that we suffer with the problem of balance of payment deficit, but at present if you see, it is not as chronic as we have faced in 1991 and also in 2008 when there was a great recession in the economy. And balance of payment includes like current account and capital account. So in this session we are going to discuss about the whole concept of BOP, like what BOP is and what are the constituents of the balance of payment account, current account, capital account, and how government can correct the problem of balance of payment. Like in 1991, if we recall again, then we can see that government did 2 times devaluation of the currency in the month of July itself to correct the balance of payment problem. But the results were not very positive because we could not see the elasticity of demand, and policymakers just ignored that what is the elasticity of demand for imports and exports. So even devaluation of the currency becomes effective only when the demand for exports and imports are elastic. Because if they are not elastic, then any change in policy will not affect your exports and imports, and therefore to correct the balance of payment problem becomes very difficult over there. So in this session we are going to discuss all the policy measures that any government can adopt to correct the balance of payment problem and the whole concept of balance of payment.
The balance of payment of a country presents the monetary picture of international trade of a country. It's a systematic record of all economic transactions between the resident of a country with the rest of the world during a certain period of time, and this is usually 1 year. Like the balance sheet or final accounts of a business firm, while preparing balance of payment account of a country, we generally adopt double entry bookkeeping system, keeping credit and debit sides of the accounts in balance. So thus the government keep track of the international transaction between the countries which they record in the balance of accounts. So these accounts are generally prepared on yearly basis, financial or calendar. Economic transactions under balance of payment include all those transactions involving the transfer of ownership irrespective of the physical transfer of what is transacted. So transactions that result in payment receipts from foreigners for commodity exports or sale of assets are recorded as credit. And similarly, transactions leading to payments to foreigners for commodity imports or the purchase of foreign assets are recorded as debit. So these credit and debit transactions result in inflow and outflow of foreign exchange and represent supply and demand for foreign exchange reserves respectively. There are basically 2 terms related to this accounts of international trade, that is balance of trade and balance of payment. The net balance of the visible trade, that is the difference between exports and imports of goods, is known as the balance of trade. So if exports are greater than imports, it shows the trade surplus, and if imports are greater than exports, then it means that there is a trade deficit. And the sum of the visible net and invisible net gives the balance of the current account. And on the other hand, as we have already discussed, balance of payment is the systematic record of all type of transactions with the country and the rest of the world, that includes current account, capital account and other unilateral transactions as well. So, balance of payment is the broader concept than balance of trade, and balance of trade itself includes in the balance of payment account. For preparing the balance of payment accounts, economic transactions between a country and the rest of the world are grouped into mainly two categories, that is current account and capital account, and also the third one that includes is the official transactions. Current account transaction includes like exports and imports of goods and services, that is visible and invisible trade, unrequited receipts and payments in the current year. On the other hand, capital transactions include inflow and outflow of capital, including like foreign investment, gold transfer and foreign exchange reserves, and even official transactions are also taken as a part of the capital account. The item of the current account are classified under the categories like merchandise trade, that is exports and imports, invisible transactions, receipts and payments on account of like foreign travels, transportation, insurance, investment, incomes, official and private transfers. Unrequited items include like gift, donation, military aids or technical assistance, etc. Current account items of international transactions are suggested by IMF, and we also follow the same in India. All the transactions included in the current account have their credit and debit counterparts. So, the credit column shows the receivables and debit column shows the payables. So, the balance of each item is shown under the net balance column, and the sum total of net balance gives the current account balance of the economy for the particular time period. The broad items of the capital account shows as like short term capital movements, long term capital movements, inflow and outflow of gold and foreign exchange reserves. The short term capital movements include like purchase of short term foreign securities, for example like treasury bills, commercial bills or any other bills, and speculative purchase of foreign currency, cash balance held by foreigners for security against uncertainty arising due to like wars and political uncertainties. The long term capital movement includes direct investment in shares and bonds, or direct investment in real estate and corporate investment in plant, building, equipment on which the investor holds a controlling power. Portfolio investment including all other stocks and bonds, for example government securities, securities of firms which do not entitle the holder with the controlling power, and also includes amortization of capital like repurchase and resale of securities sold to the foreigners. Direct investment in the industrial sector fall under the category of foreign direct investment, and foreign investment in shares and securities is called foreign institutional investment, that is FIIs. So, it is important to note here that investment abroad is a debit item because it causes outflow of foreign exchange, and inflow of foreign capital is a credit item as it results in inflow of foreign exchange. The another item in the capital account, that is gold and foreign exchange reserves, are maintained as a safeguard against the large and prolonged current account deficit, and to stabilize the exchange rate of the home currency, and also to make payments in case there is payment deficit on current account. So, the foreign exchange reserves increases or decreases depending on the net balance of the other transactions. Unilateral transfer account deals with the transactions related to donation factors like disaster reliefs or gift from the government, charities, etc. Though in accounting sense, because we follow the double entry system, balance of payment is always balanced. But in reality, it is always possible that there is disequilibrium in the balance of payment. It is said to be disequilibrium when revenue and payments does not match with each other, and suppose if revenue is more than the payments, then it is said that balance of payment is surplus in nature, and vice versa, like if payments are more than the receipts, then it is deficit in nature. To clarify the issue of disequilibrium in the balance of payment, economists distinguish between two types of transactions like accommodating transaction and autonomous transactions. Then the balance of payment position is assessed through the total receipts and total payments. So autonomous transactions are those transactions that take place on their own for their own sake due to some economic motive of the satisfaction that they yield. Now these transactions include like commercial transactions like exports and imports of goods and services, or long term and short term capital movement motivated by the desire to earn higher returns abroad, and non commercial voluntary unilateral transfers like gift, donation, etc. Such transactions take place irrespective of other transactions entered in the balance of payment account. Hence, they are not meant to bring balance into the foreign account. So, a disequilibrium in the balance of payment appears when its autonomous receipts do not match its autonomous payments. If autonomous credit receipts exceeds autonomous debit payments, then there is a surplus in the balance of payment and disequilibrium is said to be a favorable. On the other hand, if autonomous debit payments exceeds autonomous credit receipts, then there is a deficit in the balance of payment and the disequilibrium is said to be the adverse or unfavorable. So, if autonomous receipts, that is sum of the current account and capital account payments, are equal, there is neither deficit nor surplus and the balance of payment is in equilibrium. So, thus the balance of payment position depends on the balance of autonomous transactions. So, as we have discussed that balance of payment disequilibrium occurs when there is excess of debits over credits in the current account and is not balanced by an autonomous capital inflow. So, it requires some accumulating transactions such as like loss of foreign exchange reserves, official borrowings, or depreciation, devaluation of domestic currency. So, disequilibrium in the balance of payment are caused by many factors which we can broadly divide into three categories like economic factors, political factors and sociological factors. There are many economic factors which can lead to disequilibrium in the balance of payment, and first and the most important cause of balance of payment disequilibrium is the inflation. Inflation causes deficit in BOP. Inflation makes imports relatively cheaper comparative to domestic substitutes and exports relatively costlier, and as a result imports increases and exports decreases, which leads to the balance of payment deficit of a country. Business cycle has been another major reason for BOP disequilibrium. Business cycle may be confined to a country or a group of countries, or it may be global as was during the Great Depression and during the global recession of 2008. Now, if business cycle is of global nature, most countries face inflation and depression almost simultaneously. But since countries differ in their economic size, their imports and exports are also affected in a different way and with varying degrees and forms. While some countries accumulate trade surplus, others may have trade deficit of a large magnitude. For example, during a short period of global recession of 2008-9, like while India and China had trade surplus despite decline in their foreign trade, the US, UK, Euro nations and Japan had large trade deficits. So, country with high marginal propensity to import will have large trade deficits during the inflationary phase of business cycle, and a moderate deficit or even a surplus during the depression. So, this kind of disequilibrium in balance of payment is called as cyclical disequilibrium. The another major cause of disequilibrium in the balance of payment is the structural changes within or outside the economy. The structural change may be caused by like depletion of some widely used natural resource, or change in technology, change in industrial structure, or change in consumer taste and preferences. Now, such changes affect significantly a country's capacity to export and also the propensity to import. The countries lagging behind in technological and industrial development find it difficult to face the international competition, and due mainly to their high cost of production, and this leads to the balance of payment disequilibrium in the economy, and this kind of balance of payment disequilibrium is known as structural disequilibrium. Now, there are other factors which may cause temporal or short term disequilibrium in the balance of payment. Now, in this category are included like seasonal deficit caused by crop failures, as was the case with India before the mid 1970s, or maybe because of the rapid growth of the population in the country causing the large import of the food items, or ambitious development plans necessitating heavy imports of technical know-how or machinery and equipment, or it may be demonstration effect of the advanced countries on developing nations, like increasing exports in the developing countries. The temporal disequilibrium in BOP is only a matter of temporal concern, and maybe in long run this may not exist. Apart from economic factors, there are other factors also which can lead to disequilibrium in the balance of payment, like one is political factor, like certain political factors may also produce a balance of payment disequilibrium, like for example, a country plagued with political instability may experience large capital outflow or inadequacy of domestic investment and production, etc. So, this factor may sometimes cause disequilibrium in the balance of payment. Then there are certain social factors that influence the balance of payment, like for example, changes in taste, preference, fashion, etc. may affect imports and exports, and thereby affecting the balance of payment. Adverse balance of payment slows down the pace of economic development, and that also lowers the international economic credibility of the country. It also leads to economic and political dependence of the country on the foreign countries, resulting in foreign interference in the economy. Reserves of gold and other precious metals and foreign currencies go down in the same flow out of the country. Ultimately, the distortions in the economy push the country into indebtedness. The government must take steps to correct chronic adverse balance of payment, lest the country loses all its foreign exchange and is unable to raise more loans outside. And this same situation we have faced in India in July 1990, when her foreign exchange reserves had fallen very low and just sufficient to meet import bill of 15 days against the normal requirement of at least 90 days. So, the disequilibrium in the balance of payment can also occur in the form of surplus also. But however, surplus rarely poses a problem. So, therefore, most of the discussion of the disequilibrium in the balance of payment and correcting the disequilibrium in the balance of payment tackles the problem of deficit in the balance of payment. The balance of payment has been theoretically a complex issue for the economist and practically a complicated issue for the policy makers also. And there are various approaches and measures suggested by the economist to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. Like classical approach is the free market approach, which is known as the automatic adjustment process. And there are interventionist approach also, that is the method of correcting BOP disequilibrium by adopting corrective policy measures. So, we will discuss both these methods in the preceding slides. The automatic adjustment process refers to the process by which the balance of payment disequilibrium is activated by itself without any government intervention. It operates until the disequilibrium is totally eliminated, and this mechanism requires the existence of certain conditions like international competitive strength, high demand elasticity of imports, and perfect market conditions. The automatic adjustment mechanism may operate on incomes or prices. So, the former relies on induced changes in national income, while the price relies on the changes in the price level to bring about the adjustment. The automatic price adjustment mechanism works differently under a fixed exchange rate system and a flexible exchange rate system. For example, if there is a deficit in the balance of payment, the demand for foreign exchange exceeds its supply, and this leads to increase in the exchange rate. This means that external value of domestic currency decreases. And if the external value of your domestic currency decreases, it means that it will lead to increase in exports, and imports will automatically go down, and then BOP will come into equilibrium. In the automatic adjustment process, as we have discussed, that there is no need for government intervention, and automatically market get corrected and balance of payment is reached to its equilibrium. But under the deliberate measures, government policies are required, and government adopt different appropriate measures to restore the balance of payment equilibrium. Now, though adjustment policies are painful, the government can avoid negative side effects through these policy measures. So, thus adjustment policies are specific measures adopted by the government to correct a balance of payment disequilibrium. So, deliberate measures we can divide into two parts. One is trade measures, like through export promotion, import substitution, government how controls the balance of payment disequilibrium, and the another is the monetary measures. The deliberate policy measures to control and correct the balance of payment disequilibrium can be classified under the two categories, that is expenditure changing policies and expenditure switching policy. Expenditure changing policy includes like monetary policy and fiscal policy, whereas expenditure switching policy can be taken as like devaluation, revaluation, etc. The expenditure switching policy is switching the domestic expenditure from imported goods to domestic goods, or the other way round for attaining the internal and external balance depending upon the need of the country. The expenditure switching policy works through the change in relative price of imports and exports. And if there is free market condition automatic adjustment process, then exchange rate depreciation and appreciation will play its own role. Exchange depreciation or appreciation is the result of the market mechanism. The market determines exchange appreciation is often a major cause of balance of payment deficit, as it increases imports and decreases exports. It does it so because it makes imports cheaper than domestic goods. Therefore, the country who is suffering from BOP deficit are forced to adopt policy measure to reverse the process, that is to switch the domestic demand from foreign to domestic goods. The policy instruments that is generally used for expenditure switching is devaluation. Devaluation is the deliberate policy action taken by the government to devalue the domestic currency in terms of gold or in terms of foreign currency to which the domestic currency is attached with. So, devaluation has in fact been used as a major policy tool for expenditure switching, combined generally with relative monetary and fiscal policy. Suppose for example, if any country devalue its currency to control the balance of payment deficit, then devaluation results in the price of its import increase and price of export goods decreases. Now, assuming exports and imports are both price elastic, imports of the country would decline and its exports would increase. Now, whether devaluation of currency alone restores the internal and external balance in reality depends on a number of internal and external factors like trade policy or of other countries, then reaction of other countries of devaluation by a country, elasticity of exports and imports, etc. And these are very important factors to judge the impact of devaluation on a country's balance of payment deficit. The expenditure changing policies, also called expenditure adjusting policies, and it refers to the policies that are aimed at changing the aggregate expenditure in the domestic country. So, countries facing BOP deficit due to trade deficit adopt expenditure reducing policies, and the policies that are used to reduce the aggregate expenditure includes like monetary policy, fiscal policy, or maybe sometimes the policy mix of monetary and fiscal policy. Now, suppose if a country is facing a BOP deficit, a contractionary monetary policy is supposed to provide a solution to the problem of BOP deficit. Now, contractionary monetary policy decreases the money supply. The decrease in money supply reduces the BOP deficit in two ways. Now, first is like when money supply goes down, it will increase the rate of interest. An increase in the rate of interest reduces the domestic investment. Now, if domestic investment falls, it reduces the level of income and hence the demand for imports also goes down. And if demand for imports goes down, the trade deficit goes down and therefore the balance of payment deficit also improves and the balance of payment can come into the equilibrium. Now, second way is that increase in interest rate encourages inflow of short-term capital in the country. So, the inflow of foreign capital reduces the balance of payment deficit and it can be corrected easily. So, therefore, there are different ways of correcting balance of payment disequilibrium, but it depends upon the condition of the economy that which policy will be more effective, whether expenditure switching policy or expenditure changing policy, or whether monetary policy will be effective or expenditure or fiscal policy will be effective. That depends upon the economic condition of a country and the nature of the policies adopted by the country. Apart from the two measures of expenditure reducing or expenditure switching policies, there are some other miscellaneous measures also which government can adopt to correct the balance of payment disequilibrium, like obtaining foreign loans or encouraging foreign investment in home country or development of tourism to attract foreign tourists, because tourism is also one of the important sector to attract foreigners and to increase the receipts of the country. So, government can adopt different methods to correct the balance of payment disequilibrium, because it need to be corrected, because otherwise there will be a loss of foreign reserves of the country if it is not corrected for long. Thank you.
I'm sure you all would have understood the concept of BOP. Now, as per the data published on 12th March 2020 by RBI, it shows that India's balance of payment deficit is $1.4 billion or 0.2% of GDP. Now, India is facing the problem of current account deficit of such a huge amount, and you have seen that the value of rupee is also going down. Now, why and what do you think is the reason that in spite of the fact that the value of rupee is depreciating and still we are not in a position to correct our balance of payment problem? So, what can be the best remedy? What can be the other policies according to you which can help in the correcting the current account deficit and the balance of payment problem of our economy? Thank you so much for your patience hearing, and do write to me if there is any query, further query if you have regarding this topic.